Mellotron settle in the groove.
Dialogue like velvet, see the wisdom as it moves. Threading coming round through the tapestry of sound. Casual combo circulates the globe, every voice in view renowned. Balancing the ledger, counting feelings in the sense. Elevating indie dreams, spotlight in each sentence. Bridging worlds with empathy, fluent in the truth. Finance the family to mental health pursuits. No echo chamber, just reflections in the glass. Connecting dots from present pains to futures built to last. Every episode is sight for unity in subtle blends. Coco's in the rhythm, universal in the end.
Having that casual convo so you don't have to have the tough combo.
Let's start the show.
Hello, welcome to the Casual Convo Show, where we have conversations about topics that affect the communities, personal and business relationships. We always have the casual convo, so you're going to have the tough convo. I am your host, Coco. And next to me tonight, my favorite problem panelist, Quentin Moore, a.k.a. Semantic, the Iconoclast.
Oh, Lord. The problem child, the problem whatever. I'm just a problem, aren't I? I'm sorry. You know, I apologize for being such a problem, but you know, I like to make good trouble. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hi, world. Hello, world. How are you?
And below us is Asheville's finest, the mayor of Asheville, Mr. King Paul. Mr. More than you can see.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see y'all.
And even though she's not here, the Jew, she'll be joining us a little bit later. She had to type some things. She's been busy at work and all that good stuff, but she'll be joining us soon. So first, let me apologize. We missed last week because of me. I was sick. But before we get into all that, let's just get into the mental health check-in because we got a whole lot of stuff to cover tonight. Mental health check-in for me, I'm gonna say I'm better. Last week was dealing with the stomach flu, something I don't wish on nobody. That was a hot mess. So one of the reasons why we were not able to do a show. But we're back this week in full effect, feeling better, get ready to give 100%. And first of all, I want to thank you guys for being patient with me. And, you know, even though it was like the last minute cancellation, but I was out of it. But other than that, I feel a lot better. Mental health is good. I can honestly say for the first time in a long time, I am truly at peace. I don't have I feel good. Everybody who's around me, communicating with me has been awesome. I don't have no issues. Q?
Yeah, mental health was all over the place. Was in a state of frenzy or whatever you want to call it. Because it's rent time and I ain't got it right now until I can figure out something. I've been doing research on like different resources to gather funds to get it paid, but I'll be fine. My cousin gave me $500, and I was like, yeah, but it ain't gonna be enough, and I ain't gonna worry about it because I'm gonna go to these other resources that I looked up. I'm gonna call 211 because they can help you. But I'll be fine. You know, I just want to, you know, give you the props that you deserve because the show really doesn't flow without you. Okay. So that's why we held off on hosting something until you got better because, you know, I don't want the show to be all over the place with just the three of us. You know what I'm saying? Being directionless and all of that because you are the straw that stirs the drink. And glad you're feeling better. But, you know, other than that, I'm all right. You know, I'm all right mentally, you know, but, you know, like Paul says, every day above ground is a good day.
Well, thank you for that. But, you know, I think thank you I understand what you mean, but I also think all of y'all are strong, and I
Right.
do think that y'all could, like, you know, if like push come to shove, I think that y'all could do it. Um, all y'all have like very unique and strong personalities, of course. I think props go all around the board. I think we are we're a good balance. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but I do appreciate that. But thank you. That makes me feel special. Paul, mental health check.
Because you are special.
My mental health is another day above ground, so I'm good. You know, I've had people today that amuse me because I don't know how I would try to challenge somebody that writes something and I'm not comprehending what they write, and yet I'm going to argue with them about what they wrote.
What you
That is
mean?
amusing to me. That is amusing to me. So I've been entertaining these jokers today, checking them out, see what they say, and they
Yeah, I
still
saw that.
couldn't comprehend nothing. You know, people really think that you are inferior to them because the color of your skin, or because you might not have went to college. As far as they know, they don't know nothing about you, so they try to base their statements on the color of your skin. It just don't work. It don't fly because once on Sunday and twice on Tuesday, Wednesday, they never gonna be able to outsmart us when we use our minds. Remember, that's just a given fact. That's why they keep us clouded and all that other stuff. But anyhow, like Q was saying, it just ain't the same without you here in the pilot seat. You know, you got three capable co-pilots, but it just don't go without the pilot. So yeah, we had to wait for you to get well. I'm glad you better. Now we can flow. Cause I mean, who else can read the comments like you in your voices? Who can do that? Nobody else does that.
It's
Q can read it, but nobody can read them in your voice like you. Nobody. So yes, we gotta have you here guiding the ship, Captain.
I see your head
Okay.
expanding right now.
Who me?
Yeah.
No, 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 not at all. Not at all.
I
Listen,
never said.
no,
I never said. You're blushing too. I see it.
Blush on, blush on, blush on.
You over there blushing. I
I
see you
do.
got your cheek, got your
I
cheeks
definitely
all
appreciate
puffy.
it because no, I mean I definitely appreciate it. It's my camera, y'all. If I'm freezing, I'm sorry. Um, I definitely appreciate it because at times, and I know we got to get into it. I know we probably going a little bit off. It, y'all know I have brain freezes and I get stumped. So a lot of times, and even when people like, if I meet people and or if they talk to me, like I said, I talk to anybody when they ask questions about it, and people think that doing this or having like a podcast or anything like that is like extremely. They think it's easy, like you just turn on the camera and you go. There's so much that go into it, you know. Um, it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of like researching. It's money. You know, knowing what platform you gotta. It's like it's not only just doing that, but then when you have like other people involved, it has to be something that you gotta make sure it flow. Like even though we just do it like organically once it gets started, but people don't understand. Like it's not always easy, and not I don't think people think, oh, anybody can just do that, and that's not true. It's just not true, especially if you don't have it. So I do. That's why I said I do appreciate you guys for like input, helping, and just being present. So I do value that. So I just want y'all to know that. But
And nothing is scripted. Just let them know nothing is scripted. This is all the way live.
Yep.
Nothing
all
is
you
scripted.
see
This
is
ain't
what you
this,
get.
this right. This ain't professional wrestling. Okay. It where
No,
everything is
no.
choreographed and scripted. No, this is live mics and Hot takes.
No teleprompter. I do mispronounce everything, and Q corrects me. We don't edit. I don't edit anything. I just want to keep it organic, but I want to keep it true to like who we are. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
But we got a show. So um, as we did like promo and marketing for tonight, the title is America in a Financial Chokehold. Um, I thank Q for this topic and for that whole thing because what people were thinking, how this is going to go, is not how it's going to go. And one thing that we like to try to do is get everybody brains going and get people to thinking and all of that stuff. So pretty much everybody know our economy, we're in debt. America as a whole is in debt. And what's going on in this economy, how cost of goods, cost of financial, healthcare, everything is just education. Everything is affected. It's not just affecting one group of people. It's affecting all Americans, this whole country as a whole. No matter how much money you think you have, it's affecting people in some way, shape, or form. And people are just everybody's trying to figure out a way, or is like making sure they can do what they got to do because everything is just going up, and most people live according to whatever it is that they make. Even if you have multi-income households, they are also feeling some things too. So we just want to dive deep into some of those things and also give some alternative measures of maybe what we can do to try to make it a little bit more level-headed, where so we as a community can band together. So with that being said, I did look up some information. If I freeze, I just got to go to another screen real quick because I couldn't pull it up on here because it didn't come out right. 1 second. So, can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So in the United States, as far as I looked up the United States debt, the total gross national debt for the United States government is approximately $39.3 trillion. The national debt is the cumulative total of all money in the federal government that has been borrowed to cover budget deficits over time. It consists of two primary categories. The first is debt held by the public. That's roughly 31.6 trillion, which is owed to outside investors, private institutions, state and local governments, and foreign countries. The second one, and I'm about to mess this up, intragovernmental debt. That one is roughly $7.6 trillion, which is the money the federal government owes to its own trust funds, such as Social Security and Medicare, which we see a lot of talking about, like on like national news, and it's a lot of things going on with Medicare because those funds are really like depleted. They don't even know if we're going to have Social Security or Medicare in the future. So they really need to keep an eye on that. And it says this debt load exceeds the size of the entire U.S. economy, resulting in a debt to GDP ratio of over 120%. The government borrows these funds by selling treasury securities like bonds and notes. So I wanted to put that bit of information just to kind of give a little bit of context to what's going on. Hi, J Bear. To like what's going on and everything like that. So before I go into the other details that we looked up that we have going on, that was one that I don't think that I shared with you guys, but I kind of did that on my own. I want to start with Q. I want you to give your thoughts on this economy before we get into the first tidbit. Like as far as like what I just read, what are your thoughts?
Well, as we know, the economy sucks. Point blank, period. Wasteful spending, both personal and governmental. Now, what people don't realize, the reason why inflation is the way it is also. Cost of living has gone up, but your paycheck hasn't. What people don't understand about the money, it is called fiat currency. FIAT currency. Okay. Fiat currency means it's not backed by anything other than the government's word. That book I keep preaching about, Behold the Pale Horse explains this in detail. How they the money that you hold in your pocket, the cash that you hold in your pocket is actually promissory notes. It's not backed by anything. Okay, that's why the government can print as much money as much money out of thin air as possible, thus devaluing the currency. Because the more of it you have out there, the less valuable it is. Now, chickens have come home to roost for this country, right? The debt is what, 39 trillion? Something like that? And it growing? Okay. When I first saw that, I was like, yo, who do we owe? Darth Vader?
I know it's Japan, China. I forgot the other country. Forget
Right.
it.
Right.
But
right.
I know it's the countries that we owe the most money to.
Right. Right.
You know, we definitely owe China a huge chunk. Which is why he's trying to repair that relationship, because we ain't got it to pay him back.
Right. Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I look, I don't know of any Chinese coming after me for this debt because I don't owe them nothing. I don't know any Chinese. Okay. Right. Other than wonton soup and all that good stuff, and chicken fried rice. But all seriousness, this government, how you gonna charge us credit scores, right? How you gonna give us credit scores when you ain't paying your bills on the government side? Make that make sense. Okay. The U.S. credit rating has fallen. It used to be AAA. Now, I don't know what it is now, but I know it slipped. And personal debt, a lot of people are going through a tough time, with the economy, with jobs. They can't get jobs, no matter how many interviews that they go on. They may have 5-6 interviews with one company and still not get the job. Because usually after about 2 or 3 interviews, you pretty much know that you're in there, right? So, how you going to pay your bills? Some people are foregoing paying certain bills in order to eat, thus increasing their debt. Some people are afraid to go to their mailboxes because they don't want to look at, past due notices or, notices of, we're about to come after you, collection notices. How does the United States get out of this mess? It's simple. Stop the wasteful spending. Stop spending money on things that really don't benefit the United States. Okay, like how much munitions do you have to have? How much? They say, well, we gotta arm up. We gotta keep the army and all that. Okay, if you weren't so militant in trying to take over things, you wouldn't need all this money to keep up an army, keep up munitions, keep up a navy, keep up the Marines, so on and so forth. And then you can take that money and pay down your debt. I would like to see Experian, TransUnion, and what's the other one?
Equifax.
Equifax do a credit report on the United States. In all honesty,
They ain't gonna happen.
I bet you they have an F rating because they can't pay their bills. But we got money for war. I don't understand that. Yeah, and Jay Bear, shout out to Jay Bear. He just said, how can a country owe so much debt but give other countries money? That part.
Because we paying for it.
Right. Like, for instance, perfect example right now, Israel. Okay. We've been paying Israel for 40 plus years. Right. I'm like, why are we paying them? They're supposed to be independent and sovereign. They don't really need our help. But here we go. We are trapped in a situation where we are paying all this money to Israel to keep up their munitions when they're supposed to be independent and sovereign. That makes no sense to me. That's like saying, I'm giving you money and guns, but I'm gonna keep giving you money when you already have enough guns and you can arm yourself. You can take care of yourself, but I'm still giving you money. That you know what I'm saying? It makes no sense. And Mark Wilson said the same thing. It's all about Israel. This country is in trouble because it's the fall of the Roman Empire, part 2 or part 3, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, Babylon or whatever. You know, whatever you want to call it, because all empires they rise and they fall. It's inevitable. Same thing happened to ancient Rome. The same thing is happening now. Same thing happened to ancient Rome. Debt exploded. People stopped caring. There was general apathy. Rome had all kinds of wars, and plus the empire got too big. Empire got too big, and so then that's when they split it off. And eventually it collapsed upon itself. And that's the same thing is going to happen with the United States. Because, it's going to happen. Because it eventually will happen. All empires fall. You know, throughout history, if you study history, if you're a student of history, you can see that. All the empires, they rise, they get rich, then guess what? Eventually, they fall.
Yeah, because all the countries that were struggling before, they're pretty much, their economy is becoming more stable.
Right.
But ours is, and which is why, like, no matter, even though you have groups of people who fail to believe the turmoil that we're really in, whereas though the American dollar is not as valuable as what people think it is. It used to be.
Right.
It used to be, but now, no.
Because those other countries are dealing with each other more. Those other countries are dealing more with each other and not having to deal with the United States.
Yep.
So they're not really getting taxed. So now they can go ahead and see some profit. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why the tariffs came into play. And if that he who shall not be mentioned had done his homework in his history, he would have realized the tariffs don't work. Because Herbert Hoover, not Herbert, was it Herbert Hoover before FDR?
Hoover.
I think it was
Hoover. It was Hoover before FDR.
Okay.
Because Roosevelt was before, yeah. So,
yeah. When if you're a student of history again, you would have studied how tariffs don't work. They work against the commonality of what you're trying to do, the government, because they tried to instill tariffs, I think, in 1919. I think it was either Warren. Yeah, it was. I think it was just something like that. Somewhere in around the early 1900s, they tried to instill tariffs, and that's what caused the Great Depression.
And our tariffs, I feel like with this administration, the tariffs that they try to put in, I feel like it brought our enemies together.
It did.
It brought our enemies together, and it bit them in the ass. Whereas though they pretty much expanding and growing because they're trading amongst each other. and then we're beefing with the main people that we get stuff from. And
Yeah.
the American citizens are paying the freaking price
Yes,
for
we are.
everything. So of course they don't care. It's just part of the reason why we're doing the show.
Exactly.
Well, you know, you said the U.S. debt is 39 plus trillion dollars.
Yes.
There is
And
one
so,
person. There is one person that I can think of on Earth that's a trillionaire.
Elon.
Yeah. So now you talking about one person out of all the people on this earth that's a trillionaire, and this country owes out more than a trillionaire, $39 trillion. People don't understand. They for some reason people are blinded to the rising cost of things, to the low cost of getting paid, to the rising cost of your food, to the rising cost of your traveling, to the rising cost of your rent. I mean, everything's going up except for your pay, your income.
Mhm.
That's why America's in the chokehold that's in. And see, for us, we gotta rely on each other. We gotta do business with each other. You
And
might
that
not
day,
be
yeah,
able to do business with everybody.
well, okay, hold that thought. So the next one, I'm gonna just start with you because you're kind of going into it. All right. So the next one is this was another Q topic. Um, how the economy is contributing to poverty. So poverty and financial hardship are expanding across the U.S. due to a combination of skyrocketing living costs. I'm sorry. Let me do that over. Y'all know. Okay. Poverty and financial hardships are expanding across the U.S. due to a combination of skyrocketing living costs, stagnant wages, and expiration of pandemic and safety nets. I can go on a little bit into that as well. While while official national poverty rates hover around 10.6%, the gap between this benchmark and the actual cost of living leaves millions of households struggling to survive. Um, I do have some itemized stuff. Y'all let me know if y'all want me to just put it all out there on the table and then we can just talk about it. But when it comes to those the pandemic, so when they had the pandemic fund, and I can speak on this because I previously worked for a company especially like FQACs or federally funded programs, they were creating jobs based on when the pandemic came because they needed to create all of these positions. So they had a separate fund or money for that. That money is depleting. So what's happening now is they're eliminating those positions and laying people off, which goes more into people the unemployment rate and things like that. So that part I could expound on and say that's definitely true, and we're seeing it a lot. And when they're eliminating all these positions and all of these like different like I think there was some hospitals on the news. There was a lot of organizations. Those most of those positions are those positions. But a lot of companies, because of the economy and because of the trading things that's going on with us and other countries, the Strait and everything like that, a lot of companies can't afford to buy goods like they were buying before because then you got to raise the cost. So now consumers like us, we're picking and choosing what we're going to buy. So a lot of places where they were selling out of one thing, they're not selling. So it's not worth it to spend that money because they're not seeing a profit. Q. Or whichever one of y'all want to go. That's all I got.
Well, this goes back. Part of it is the supply chain has been broken. That's why the cost of goods going up and things just going spiraling out of control. And you know that's a key component in the supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you minimize, just like with gasoline is flowing great. Gasoline was really under $3 if I'm not mistaken before that who shall not be mentioned came back into office, and I'm like, yeah, Mark, the supply chain is broken. It's broken. If you look at it, it's broken. Um, Now gas is like here. I don't know what gas is like, elsewhere, but I'm here in Atlanta Metro. I've seen it going as high as $5. It dropped recently. It dropped down to like $3.49 in certain places, and
It's
four
the same
dollars.
here. It's like below $4. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, well, it's going to go back up because gas usually goes up according to the season, right? Because they
And they
switch.
just bombed on the straight. So you know what that means.
Right, right. It's going to go back up. It's going to go back
Yeah.
up.
Expeditiously.
It's ridiculous. And I'm like, well, if a person is making say for instance $25 an hour, right, and he's been at that job 10 plus years, and he can't afford to take a day off, because if he takes a day off, he's going to lose his pay. He can't afford to really get sick, because that's money that could have gone to the household is being allocated to his medical situation, his or her medical situation. It's a chain effect. It's a domino effect, and I see a lot of people now. They're moving into hotels, living in hotels. Some are living in their cars. Some are living in parking lots because they can't afford the housing anymore. And this is contributing to the poverty that is starting to happen widespread. People who have never experienced poverty, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to navigate because they never experienced that before. Like housing. If they behind on their rent, what do? They just they either are borrowing money from family, friends, whatever, or simply not paying the rent and waiting on an eviction order so they can bounce and get up out of there,
Yep.
thus ruining their credit, right?
Check out time.
Yeah.
And then to add to that, we just saw that he refused to sign the housing bill for like affordable housing.
Hmm.
That's going to also, even though people consider those like the poverty stricken, because you have to meet certain requirements to qualify for those housing programs, right? Um, that's going to actually be even more detrimental because you have even people with like disabilities. I'm not talking about people who can but just been on it and they pretty much just complacent on it. I'm talking about people with disabilities, senior citizens, um, just people who really need it. And if you take away that, which the government does want to eliminate supportive housing programs, they want to do transitional, which transitional is pretty much temporary. They don't want to do long-term housing anyway. So with him making up these excuses of why he's holding out on that, it's kind of crazy to me because not only are the things that's happening now with people losing their jobs, because the resources for people when you lose your job and then you need help with your bills or something like that, because at no fault to you, but because the company may be folding or can't afford to keep you on board, a lot of people are going to work one day and then when they go, by the time they get home and go on the next day, they get that call or they get that meeting that they don't know that they're no longer needed. So now they're trying to figure out what to do next. And it's been statistically proven that average American citizen lives paycheck to paycheck. So those people are in a WTF mode. So most of the resources that are supposed to be helpful for people, whether you're in limbo or not, they don't even have the money, or you have to wait a certain time frame. But now your bills and everything is like stacking up. And we're seeing people who make six-figure salaries who are also losing their jobs. So it's not just affecting one group or one class of people, it's affecting a lot of people. Um, Mark said since COVID, rent for us, everything is supply for demand based, went mad crazy. Even though those mentioned causes disappeared, everything has gone up, and they continue to spend a gang of bullshit excuses. Reason why it's our new reality. What say you? I'm just saying. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Everybody is just suffering, and then what gets me is, again, I'm a comment watcher. So what I like to do in my pastime is I like to watch different like news articles, international news, things like this, or when people are discussing these things. And it's always funny to me in the comment section who you have these delusional supporters who act like this is not a reality. Or these things are, or what's being done is the best this country has ever seen. No, it's not. That's why so many people are turning against them. When you have people like, what's her name? Marjorie, and what's the other person? The white guy. No shade to white people. The white guy, but it's turning their backs. Those are just two of many. You have people that are leaving Congress and that are leaving different cabinets just because of what's going on behind closed doors and what's been being done publicly. So what we see is just like not even nothing compared to what they probably experiencing. So we
That's
really
the
got to
way.
understand about the reality of what's really going on. People are just delusional.
That's the way they play the game.
You good,
Poli-
or you are fine. I appreciate you.
Politicians, that's what they do.
Hmm.
And this country has went from having people that wanted to work for the country to politicians working for themselves. Because no matter what, they getting paid. I don't think what they do work
That's due to
48.
the corporations, the corporate kickbacks they get because
Yes, they
they tell like they tell a senator or House of Representative member, hey, I'm about to give you $250,000 for you to vote this way, and they get that bribe, and that's what it is. It's a bribe, um, and they vote that way of the corporation. This is why it's a problem with that whole federal minimum wage thing
Hmm.
being at $7. I'm like, when you working at McDonald's for that? You can't even. They don't even make that at McDonald's any longer.
Hmm.
$7.25. Man, that's bubble gum money. That's the price of a pack of gum now. Are you crazy? Who can survive off that? So, you know, like I'm paying attention to what's going on in New York, um, with Mondami. The reason why he's hated by a lot of people is because he took New York from a deficit to a balanced budget, and he did it all without raising prices. You know what I'm saying? He did it all without raising prices. This is why everybody's like, now you got these people like, I don't want to be a socialist. Socialism is bad and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, if it's so bad, there are elements of socialism in this economy.
Hmm.
Social Security, unemployment. Uh, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, what's so bad about socialism? They see most of these people out here in the world, they're brainwashed. They've been told this socialism is bad. Socialism is bad. So in other words, you believe in capitalism, but you're not really a capitalist because you're working for the capitalists. You're a slave to the capitalists. You want to be a slave to the capitalists. No, no. I like what Mondami is doing. And this is
Oh no, no,
why.
no, no. Well, we talking about. We was having a conversation in the comments. I'm sorry. He had this was his original comment. He wasn't talking about you. I'm sorry. He said
Oh, okay.
Oklahoma voted against raising. Oklahoma just Mark. Shout out to Mark Wilson. He's very active in the comment section on Facebook. He said Oklahoma just voted against raising their state's minimum wage, bruh. And so I said they crazy. So that was his response to me. He said it's Trump stainism.
Yeah,
Mad
it
numbers
is.
are indoctrinated.
Because it's not only Trumpsteanism. Most people they are so used to the American way of life, which is work hard, get the American dream. You can buy a house, you could buy several cars, and you can have all this money. Problem is, you got to be asleep to dream, right? You got to be asleep. This is why I said, with Mondami, I support him because he's showing both Democrats and Republicans how to spend the money. How to spend the money. And most people ain't seeing it. They just hear buzzwords like socialist. He's a socialist. Okay. Why does socialism work in Europe? Why does socialism work in Finland, Sweden, Norway, Germany, Spain? They're not capitalists, they're socialists. All of those are socialist countries, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't have the problems we have. They may have societal problems, but they don't have the problems we have.
Yeah, because our government do things for personal gain and not for the people. They hide behind statements of, oh, this is for us, for the people, and it's gonna be what's best for the people. No, it's what's best for you and your group of friends and those grimy people, but it has nothing to do with the American citizen. Like, we're
Exactly.
working harder, but we're not benefiting from anything, because the more you work, the more taxes you pay. Everything that we do is taxed. Before you know it, they want to tax the air.
They already doing that.
They probably already taxing the air.
They already do that. I don't know, like here, we pay an emissions tax, right?
Hey, Jude.
Mm-hmm.
Called the ad valorem tax.
Wait a minute, say that a moment.
For your car. Your car has to be inspected. They were like, well, for your car to be inspected and to make sure it doesn't emit any harmful emissions, carbon emissions. I'm like, that makes no sense, because the gas in the car burns, and the burning, the smoke has to go somewhere. You can't have it sitting, building up in the car. You'll kill yourself with carbon monoxide. Am I incorrect?
You're right. That's probably why they're trying to push electric cars and stuff like that.
Right.
And
Right.
partly because who, I think they was in cahoots, but well, actually, he's no longer a trillionaire. He's a $494.8 billionaire. It didn't, like, because his Tesla cars have plummeted, like for as like those things.
Yep.
So, but that's why I said everybody's feeling it, but people are not able to afford certain things of luxury that they were able to afford before, because people are focusing on the necessity of what's needed, which goes back to what Paul was saying as far as like cost of living when it comes to rent costs, mortgage costs, things like that. A lot of people aren't able to do that. But when we look at how many people, like, I should have done this before, but I didn't. When we see how many companies are eliminating jobs, that goes to unemployed Americans or people who will not be able to afford what they could afford. And then trying to find a job, and today, and that's going to be a whole nother show. I can't wait to get into that. It's not as easy or in abundance as what they try to make it seem, unless you're going to do extreme labor for their data centers. They want to put you where they want to put you as a labor worker, which is, to me, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying this, it's almost like they want us to go back into slavery mode, where we're doing that hard labor for pennies on a dollar.
Exactamundo.
Take us from positions of, like, you know, what people work hard for, and put you back into a labor where, so this is all you have to choose from. Because if you look at what jobs we're creating jobs, yeah, because they want you to build it for damn near nothing.
Thank you.
That's why
I'm gonna tell you what. Something that doesn't sit well with me, and I don't know why it doesn't sit well with others. And that is, if you got some property that you own, I mean, if you own this property, that's your property. Why do you have to pay taxes on something that you own? Why? That's my property. What I'm paying for should be services that I need on my property. Services, electricity, water, whatever, sewage, all that stuff. That's what I should be paying for. My property, if I own that, then I shouldn't keep paying no property tax on it. Anything that you own in this country, you gotta keep paying on it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta keep paying on your car. You gotta keep paying to drive it. So you gotta keep paying on your car. So you really don't own it. You're basically leasing it. Your house, you got to pay on it. If you want to add additions to it, you got to pay on it. It goes up. It goes up just because somebody come into your neighborhood with another house or something. Your house goes up in price. I mean, your property, same thing with your property taxes. You own all this stuff, but you say to pay it. The government has been scamming people forever. And it's just to the point where right now that they got the biggest scammer in the world and they're controlling things. He whose name I shall not mention, as Q say, is controlling these people. These people are operating out of fear, which they call loyalty, but they are fearful. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Julius Caesar type thing go down or something like that. Because
no, the same thing that they did with Biden and what's her name? Shoot. What's
Kamala.
her name, y'all? Kamala. The same thing where he getting on their nerves, and y'all see who he pushing. They putting Vance in everybody's face. He up next. That's who they get ready. That's who get ready to go right in that seat.
But I mean, the economy is tanking, just like the businesses this person has tanked.
Mm-hmm.
And to operate this country like you operate your business and bankrupt your businesses, you're doing the same thing to this country. Sad to say, but America has turned into a third world country. Just haven't came under attack yet, but they waiting in the cut to do that. But we became a third world country under this leadership, and people are happy about it. There's not a lot of prosperity. There's not a lot of prosperity in the economy. Like you say, just here in the last couple of days, the housing authority has fired 50% more of their staff. Half their staff, they couldn't staff even to half. People getting pink slips. So now I don't know where these folks gonna get no jobs from, because they swear there's jobs open, but there really isn't. So, like you say, it's hard out here. It's gonna get harder, and we're gonna have to depend on each other to get through it. We can't be going out here supporting everybody else and leaving each other in the doggone dark, giving our money to people that we can't get it back from. So I'm telling you, people better pay attention, wake up. Because what you say, cue the pale horse? Behold the pale horse?
Yeah, Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper.
Yeah, they better check it out. You don't want to ride the pale horse.
The pale horse is death.
And that's where you're taking this country to death.
Yeah.
Nobody's
agree.
afraid of America. Nobody's afraid of America.
No.
Well, he already said he don't care about the American citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that publicly, which is another reason I don't understand why or how his supporters don't understand that they are included in that group of people that he could care less about. Like you are an American citizen. You voted for him. Like, what part of that don't you guys understand?
Bunch of scammers. Oh, and you was talking about the munitions. You know, they done bought stock in munitions companies and stuff.
It's not.
The Trumps have, so they gonna supply the munitions, getting paid for it. That's why they pushing for that so hard. Cause hey, that's money for us. I'm just telling you, man. It's just bad.
Yeah, it's bad. I just came from the market. I just needed to get two things because I just needed two things. And it's like I spent my entire life savings.
Shit high.
Milk, milk that comes from the cow, an animal that the Lord gave us. It's so expensive. Everybody been talking about eggs, but milk is expensive.
Yeah.
Coffee.
$4.94.
Coffee costs $20. Y'all know coffee got roaches in it, like crunched up roaches. Ground coffee and y'all charging us $20 for ground up coffee roaches. $20. Like I thought they said stuff was going down, and I thought that the whole point of taking away some of the government funding for unnecessary spending was supposed to benefit us, the United States citizens. But it seemed like we are doing way worse than ever. And it's not even, probably was doing worse before, but I don't know. This is the time and the age where I'm living to be able to see it as an adult. And this is horrible. Like this is not what we grew up to become adults to have to deal with. It's sad. It's ridiculous. And it doesn't matter how much money you make at this point because everybody's money is up for grabs if they want it.
Yep.
That's all I gotta say about that. I just came from the market and I went in there for 2 items and I really came out with 5 and I feel like I spent $100 on 5 items.
Mm-hmm.
You were right at the market.
Shit, bread like $5. Milk is like $5. That's 10. When you go, and then you want to add another like $6 to $7 for some eggs.
And not even
that's about right. So when I can find a sale when it be like 2 something or 3, I'm snatching like give me like 2 of those or something like that. It's like you pretty much gotta shop around and really try to compare prices. I even saw a post on Facebook, which honestly I think was kind of enlightening though, because I've been seeing people post where they see deals. Or what's this? If you haven't been here, try this place because I got the X, Y, and Z, and they're actually letting you know. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's one of the beauties of social media is that things like that. So like if like people who here in Baltimore, if they see something, I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna go there. That's where they got it at. And then you know what I mean, or wherever somebody else is from, you just never know. And it's like a good lookout.
Yeah, that's a good lookout too. But another observation I made today was the markets are bare.
Yeah.
They are still not full. We still don't have food in the market. So for the prices to be as high as they are, there is a lot of like, I will say this. I feel like America is getting a little more smart and strategic about their shopping because I do see what's missing. A lot more fruits, vegetables, and things that you can kind of like store for a minute. But all them fruits and chips and snacks and juices, I see a lot of that like overfilling in the stores for real. And everything else is like people are being more smart about. Like we're even I don't know, in my area it look like we're getting low on bottled waters.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
it's just like being observant of those types of things like this in your neighborhood. I do know for sure that with everything that's going on with the economy and people worrying about their jobs, people worrying about the price of gas, electricity. I know some people got like high bills, really high bills. I got a semi-high bill, two of them to be exact. It's just like and the cost, your pay rates aren't going, your salaries, your pay rates, you aren't getting any increase. They're taking so much stuff away. And I heard Coco say something I was listening to on one of before I had joined in. When you talk about like the them snatch away funding and stuff from the healthcare system. Yeah, snatching away from that. A lot of just people who it doesn't affect because they don't have like illnesses, like lifelong illnesses. People that just go to the doctors like for their checkups and things like that. They're not realizing that a lot of that funding towards the hospitals actually pay for people's treatments that your insurances don't pay for. But when the government came up and was like ignorant, oh, this is unnecessary, we're going to snatch money from here, we're going to snatch money from there. It took for it to start affecting some of those middle class people because a lot of people, like Coco said, only think that the lower class is the only people that benefits from them, but you're not. A lot of them benefits from those things just by age and and whatever disability they have for real. And middle class people do qualify too. They just don't qualify for as much, allegedly. But yeah, a lot of them lost a lot of stuff. And the problem was a lot of those rich people, the fundings that was going to those rich assisted living homes that wasn't supposed to. And when they start shutting those down and people were using millions and billions of dollars, that's when they started kind of waking up, about some of the stuff when it comes to the economy, because now they got to take care of their parent and, so they want, I don't know. It's just
with the cuts to Medicaid, because it's already happening, and a lot of them utilize Medicaid because a lot of those like assisted living and nursing home facilities, rehabilitation facilities for like older people who have, or people with disabilities who have Medicaid, it funds a percentage, if not the entire cost of the stay while you're there. So when they start eliminating that one, so if you have someone who's in a long-term facility and those benefits are being used and then now it's being cut, you got to cover the cost. So which goes into your spending, your expenses. And no matter how much money you get, them medical bills, and because they charge you for not only the stay, any supplies they use, medications, anything that's being used, they charge you for. And when they start cutting Medicare, Social Security, and things like that, because it's a lot of people that's saying, and some people, if you just catching on or haven't paid attention to it, like if you have like older people in your family or whatever, and when you look at that stuff, they starting to complain about their Medicare, what's covered, what's not covered, certain things that was covered before, or maybe whatever plan that they have, it's not covering something that they were used to getting, or it's not covering a certain medication. And then when you call, oh, this is not in it anymore, or their funds are being cut. So it's like we just gotta really pay attention to like what's going on. It's affecting everybody as a whole.
And many states have enacted that law where your SNAP people can't buy potato chips and colas and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure how many states it is that has enacted that, but that's another reason you don't see so many snacks being going off the shelves, because they ain't giving you nothing on your SNAP stuff for one thing, and then you can't spend it on nothing with sugary contents or nothing like that. Snacks, you have to spend on food, so that's another reason for some of that. Because I noticed that down around here, chips and stuff are on the damn shelves, overrunning too. So yeah. But that's what we living with. That's what we dealing with.
Yeah.
So
also being cut with that SNAP benefits being cut off, because I know you have some people that might have got like maybe $150, maybe only getting like $60. So they're buying more like canned goods or certain things that they can store that may be cheaper in cost, but like Judy said, can have a shelf a shelf life that's longer than
Mhm.
buying something that may be fresher that's spoiled because they don't know when they're gonna be able to buy more food. So
Mess
people are
around,
stocking
everybody.
up on certain
Mess
things.
around, everybody gonna be a vegetarian. Everybody on this
But
earth gonna be a
vegetables
vegetarian.
and fruits is higher than anything else now. That's high as hell.
Shit, not
And
down
they
here.
always got a recall on some type of something, fruits
All
or
the time.
vegetables every so often.
All the time, especially that frozen food stuff. No, I
That's
don't deal with
because
none of
they
that
be
stuff.
spraying stuff on. They be spraying them chemicals on the stuff.
Because was
They
it beef
freezing
that
it
was
up
just
good.
recalled?
What was recalled?
I believe it
Some
was
of the
beef that was
frozen
just
vegetables,
recalled.
frozen pizza, some yogurt, anything you can think of has been recalled.
Yeah, because of
Anything.
listeria. It's because of the listeria outbreak.
So what is that saying about what is the USDA? Who is it that's responsible for food getting into the country, into the stores? Who is responsible for that?
Well, it's been mixed up right now since the last administration. Well,
Yeah.
since the current administration, but he came. That's another thing. He didn't. Well, who we not naming? The Oompa
Yeah.
Loompa
A
we are
lot of
not
people not in
naming.
position anymore. A lot of them positions are vacant.
Yeah, because they deemed them unnecessary, and as a people, like this is my thing. How do one person come in and deem something unnecessary that a group of people put in place because they felt as though it was necessary because something happened which required them to put such rule or thing in place?
It's just like
You know?
it's just like that whole screwworm epidemic, right? With the beef. Okay, there were protections in place until he who shall not be mentioned said it was wasteful spending. Okay, there was a reason why there was a protection in place. Screwworm had been eliminated, damn near eliminated, until he said no, and all of a sudden now your beef is tainted. The cows got screwworm, and you know because the worm lays its eggs in the muscles of the cow, and you don't know what you're eating. Plus, with beef, now he was like, well, we're going to import Argentine beef. What?
Q, read this comment because I got a feeling you about to go into what this comment said because I it's definitely true and I can correlate it to you, but I want you to include it with it. Mark is on it in this comment section, by the way.
Shout out to Mark because now you're delving into healthcare. It all evolves around food supply, which is true. Think about it, y'all. 3 or 4 total companies control the food supply. That is also true. They're the primary members of the board of said companies. Exactamundo. That's why when you shop now, right? When you go shopping and you look at the meat section, especially the meat section, it's pathetic. It's pitiful. It's pathetic.
Because it don't taste real.
The beef, some of that beef looks like it's been out 2 weeks without being moved. They probably just sprayed some bleach on it and then repackaged it and put it back out there. And then want to charge you $45 for a roast. That is insane. A roast about that big is $45.
Yeah.
That makes absolutely 0 sense.
You know what's more insane, Q? Just 2 seconds. When you can go to one store and the roast is $45 and ride 3 blocks up and make a right and the roast is $25 and a little bigger.
It's always more expensive in the food desert areas.
Right.
No, you missed what I was saying, but
no,
I get what you. I was saying, yeah.
But you know what though, Jude? One thing I found a hidden gem in the supermarket, like discontinued items, right?
Mhm.
They put them in the back. They put them in the back. A lot of people start to go back there, beyond the store wall, the actual store walls or whatever. And they're finding like, bread 59 cents, cookies. If they discontinue the cookies, the cookies like discounted, deeply discounted, versus what's on the shelf.
Mhm.
And again, Mark just nailed it. Butcher meat. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna go to a butcher shop or a carniceria. I'm not saying it right. It's the Spanish butcher shop. But see, the meat that I like to eat, I eat a lot of lamb because I don't eat pork.
Mhm.
And I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Muslim. Yeah, I'm not Muslim by any stretch. I'm not Muslim by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm a firm believer of, I'm a firm believer of no pork on my fork, no pig in my wig. You know what I'm saying?
Do you dig?
Right. No, you know what I'm saying? No pork on my fork, no swine in my dine, no pig in my wig. You know what I'm saying? I'm a firm believer in that. But yeah, butcher shops is where it's at. I need to start going there for my meats because I don't trust the meat that is being put out on those shelves. Because a lot of half of them have some of that stuff is 3D printed meat.
Yeah. The majority, 90% of it. But hold on, real quick. Just to expound on what G was saying, where I was doing it with the food as it is, like sometimes, like you can have, it may be one block that separates what's considered a food desert area from from one that's not, depending on whatever. So but to piggyback on the food, the healthcare, and then the pharmaceutical companies. So I know this is a lot of recall, people getting sick off about food, right? But when we look at healthcare costs and cost of healthcare insurance is on a rise. A lot of people, I was even talking to like my daughter, we were talking about it, like even on her job for her family, I think the increase was like a $300 increase compared to what it was previously, which I can attest to, even like for myself, I pay like $375. So just imagine that with a family. So when you talk about those things and people are like definitely comparing, and it's really all in sync because what we eat contributes to our health. And for years we've always talked about it's been proven like the worst foods are the cheapest and most affordable. And you see that's what people eat, and it contributes to our chronic illnesses and and things like that. So in certain areas they make certain things of that's healthier for us more expensive. But then when you go to other areas, you see the healthier items that are less expensive. And then you also see the population for those areas, or was, like I said, was considered food deserts, which all ties into healthcare costs and the pharmaceutical companies. They all go hand in hand.
Yeah, because they don't want a healthy society.
No, they don't.
They getting paid.
Right.
They getting paid to sell you stuff that's gonna keep you sick. I'm glad you said that because I noticed on most of these ads they be doing on TV for these pills and all this Tremfya and this and Boblidi and that. All this stuff has side effects that create more issues for your body than what you already had.
So you can
But
get
they
another pill.
why in the heck do I want to take any of that stuff? And I don't want to have liver failure just because my eyes are bothering me sometimes. I don't want to have kidney failure just because what I jump up too high in the air. I mean, come on.
I don't want to have oily stool if I'm taking
Yeah. the side effects be worse than what you're actually trying to treat.
Right.
And it's,
That's what
it's
I'm
just,
saying. You know, if I take a vitamin, I get oily stool. I'm like, well, that's what I came to you for. For you to get me healthy. Oily stool is not healthy.
Yeah.
because
That's why I
anytime,
don't trust pills. I don't trust no pills. Forgive me for saying, but for me to take a pill, it probably have to be a Bayer aspirin, something like that, something old school. But I will not trust the new pills. None of that stuff. I cannot do it. That's why I smoke my medication so much for
but I think
relief.
it's also why they killing natural resources. Because when you think about it, the more holistic health became on the rise, and people were becoming more aware of, like what natural foods, herbs, and things that were good for our bodies, and it was people were actually starting to feel better and not need certain medicines as much. So if you notice, they're pushing weight loss medications because everybody wants to lose weight or whatever. You don't see them because a lot of people, and when you had Obamacare, people were with chronic illness, they were actually controlling it. Whereas though then people started to get healthy, you see more people exercising. Like look on social media, most of the population that has the most chronic illness is becoming more healthy, even though we still have a higher number. But we're understanding our bodies more and we're doing what we need to do for our bodies, which is different. So when you see those things, just look at which way they start to pushing different stuff in your face. So it's man, it's just crazy. But they're making certain things just unaffordable, and but then they also making it where so oh it's cheaper now. So certain things that may have been $1,500 a month, if you can get it for $99, but it's not covered by your insurance, you got to pay out of pocket because it only costs them probably like 5 cents to make anyway. So they still gonna see a 200% profit.
Oh, Lord.
I totally agree. I
Oh,
totally
man, it's the
agree.
devil.
And the thing is, like, if you do like if people do research on cancer, right? They'll realize that cancer is a sugar feeder, right? Meaning
Mm-hmm. Yep.
it feeds off sugar.
Yep.
So
Sugar
the
and
way
carbs. Yep.
right, the way you minimize that is to minimize your sugar intake or eliminate it completely, right?
Yep. Feed it veg,
But you
get them that vegetables and natural stuff. Yep. Starve it.
yeah, yeah, but most people don't want to do their due diligence and research it because they feel like, well, I can trust the medical industry. No, you can't. They got they got a lot of doctors who really shouldn't be doctors.
No, they doctors for a reason. They
Mm-hmm.
know. It's like look at like if you look at like people like that, like your Dr. Sebis and things like that, who
Doctor.
use your natural resources around you. But look at how they're turned. Like I said, they're tearing down like trees, our natural resource. They're messing up our soil. So when you go over to like Honduras and you know these different islands where those people are primarily healthy, even though they don't have much, because
Right.
they use their environment. Your environment is curved, is what you're supposed to use because that's what it's based on. So when you take that away, you're dependent on these medicines because you don't have your natural resources because the soil is trash. They tearing down everything. So like, what do you do?
Just like what you know
Mandatory.
that discussion we had about Bill Gates a while back, right?
Yeah,
My question is
after you can.
why is he on the World Health Organization board? And I'll tell you why he is. Remember, this is the guy that supposedly created Windows, right? Windows computers with Steve Jobs. Until Steve Jobs got mad, took his ball and went home, and then Steve Jobs created Apple, and we got the two Dynamo computers. Bill Gates said, "What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a virus to attack the computer, so that I'll create an antivirus, so that you buy the antivirus to prevent your computer from being attacked." He applied that same logic He applied that same logic
Hmm.
to the World Health Organization. That's how he got that seat. This man ain't no doctor. This man don't know anything about medicine. But he's in charge of all the vaccines because the vaccine testing. If people go down that rabbit hole, they'll see what I'm talking about. Because I went down that rabbit hole. I was like, oh, wow, this guy is really evil. He's a
But look at all the
POS.
recent appointments. None of
Huh?
them are in the field. Like the most recent appointments that he appointed in these different agencies, whether it's healthcare, public health, all of the, even down to aviation or whatever, none of these people have experience or specialize in anything geared towards what their appointments are. To be in these positions to create policies or implement a policy or to un, to just make these it's bad. So then when we wonder why certain things are happening, it's because we don't have the right people with the knowledge that can understand the data or follow the trend. Anybody can say this is what I think is best, but can you identify the trends, the positive trends and the negative trends, and try to make the adjustments of what's needed, where so you can properly adjust any type of standard guideline or anything like that.
No, he put other criminals, other people who are fluent in corruption, criminal activities, and things like he put those kind of pointed his friends, people, not even friends, people that he could depend on in his criminal activities, and to help, as long as you watch my back, I watch yours. It was all the whole thing is done out of greed and corruption. There's no way around looking at it no other way besides at the end we'll see exactly everything that they did and doing and who's all involved. None of them people have experience. First of all, none of them have experience, and a lot of the people that have been in there since I was born.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
the main thing is they need to change a lot of things. They just need to change this old way of thinking, the old way of doing things, and stop stealing from the country.
yeah. Look at the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. Okay, when she got appointed, when she didn't get elected, she got appointed.
Pause, because education coming up. Let me just give it out so we can just flow. And then this is like the end that carries through the rest of the show. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this keep happening to you too. Okay, so we're going to discuss the systematic inequalities that contribute to poverty. Systemic inequality causes poverty by creating structural barriers that prevent marginalized groups from accumulating wealth and accessing essential resources, deep-rooted economic, educational, and social disparities, rather than individual choices, trap generations in cycles of financial instability, limiting opportunities and upward mobility. So general wealth gaps, historical and ongoing discrimination in housing and mortgage markets, such as redlining, have historically prevented communities of color from building property equity because home ownership is primarily driver of the household wealth. These barriers have lasting impacts. Labor market disparities, I think we talked about that. Segregation and discrimination in hiring and wages distribution force. Why can't I never get this out, y'all? Okay, let me do that over. Labor market disparities, segregation and discrimination in hiring and wage distribution force many marginalized groups into low-paying, precarious jobs with limited benefits and little chance for advancement. Educational inequities. So, because public schools of the United States are largely funded by local property taxes, children in under-resourced neighborhoods often receive lower quality education. This limits their access to higher education and higher paying careers. Healthcare access. Systemic disparities often lead to inadequate access to healthcare and social service. High out-of-pocket medical costs and lack of insurance can quickly plunge families into sudden poverty. Okay, I'm done. Before we get to the last one, go.
Yeah. Look at the Secretary of Education, right? Linda McMahon. I knew something was wrong when they hired a person who was the co-owner of WWE, running an important part of the country. She thinks this is her own personal arena. She thinks she's in Madison Square Garden, where she can just do whatever she wants to do with the education system. She doesn't want to contribute to helping less than fortunate kids who maybe, the breakfast or lunch may be the only meal they have for the day. To get rid of free lunch. Now, how this ties into the educational system and the poverty. When you're hungry, you can't focus on anything but your hunger, right? Of course, it's going to affect your grades. It's going to affect how you learn. It's going to affect how you interact with people, right? Now, as you get older, if you're still stuck in that cycle of poverty, which a lot of us are, even though we act like we aren't, because technically there's a difference. If you're not rich, guess what? You're poor. No two ways about it. They want to eliminate the middle class. Period. They want it to be like it was back in the medieval times, where there was the kings and there were the serfs. The serfs worked the land, the kings reaped the benefits. Until France got smart and they started their revolution, and they took King Louis, I think King Louis XIV and Marie Antoinette, sent them to the gallows, chopped off their heads, because they got tired of it. And I think if America is smart, they'd follow that model, but they won't. I'll tell you why they won't. Because they think that the military has all this power. The president has all this power over the military. No, the military is not supposed to be loyal to the president. It's supposed to be loyal. It's supposed to be nonpartisan. Military has always been nonpartisan. They're not loyal to anybody but themselves. They only take orders from the president, which has to be approved by Congress for them to go to war. Now, tying this back into the inequity, as I said, if you're hungry, your stomach's growling, you're not going to be focused on school. You're going to be focused on curing your hunger, right? You're going to be focused on trying to figure out, okay, where's my next meal coming from? Because at that point, you're living hand to mouth, like a lot of us are doing, living hand to mouth. With all this is going on and how it's contributing to poverty, a lot of people out here are suffering and starving because they're having to make a decision on whether I got to pay this light bill or whether I can eat for the next 3 days, spaghetti.
Yeah,
one or the other.
Yeah, and that also goes into brain function too. So when you have, which I did like when Michelle and the Obama administration put the every kid eats in place, that was more beneficial. And I do agree that not only did it help the kids concentrate, because to take their mind off of hunger pains, but proper nutrition And when you can get certain nutrients, it helps your cognitive function. So it goes a little bit, deeper into that, but we ain't gonna get it. I ain't gonna go that far deep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Linda McMahon was brought in to dismantle the Department of Education. People be surprised how many departments positions have been eliminated from the Department of Education. But see, your president, he has a long history with the people of the WWE. Yeah. Your guy, he has a long history with the WWE. From WrestleManias and all kind of stuff that he participated in, all that good stuff. So, who better than somebody that helped stage a assassination attempt to be your Department of Education head?
Mhm.
So while everything else is going on, the Department of Education is slowly getting dismantled. Nobody's paying attention. But you gotta keep your eyes on things. I thank God that we got a few places around here where our young people are being taught. And that's the Peak Academy, Asheville Peak Academy, and the Christine L. Avery Learning Center. Both of them places teaching our youth. So thank God for that. But I'm telling you, our schools, our regular city schools and stuff, they are in county schools, they're in bad shape. These people got our county schools under investigation for trans using the same bathroom that biological girls be using and all this stuff. It got so hot to that the Department of Justice is investigating them. So we'll see how that comes out. But yeah. Our education is in trouble. Our educational system is in trouble. But one thing I can't understand though, they said this educational lottery that they be having. Where is all that money going to? Because people, okay, I don't know about y'all, but they call it the North Carolina Educational Lottery. You got the Powerball and the Mega Millions and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And if nobody's winning the money in this state, where's all that money going to that y'all raking in?
In your politician pockets, it's like they do in Baltimore with the casino money.
Yeah, where's all that money going to? Because you're not putting it out in the schools that the schools got to beg for money. Y'all talking about we're going to have to cut this off and cut that off. Why? Y'all making all this money. Nobody in North Carolina has won the jackpot.
And then they wonder why the children are behind, though. Even when it comes down to the funding, when these schools are not funded, or when you don't have proper tools, resources, books, curriculum, and then also you can't afford quality teachers, you're failing the children, which also leads into what we see in crime increase and certain things like that, because they don't have the proper fundamentals, because you can't even keep them there, because it's some stuff that I've seen in the schools. I'm not going to say all schools, but for a large majority. And when you actually listen to the kids, and I think that's the big piece that's missing, is the children are literally telling you what's wrong and why they don't go to school. But nobody's listening to these children. And that's why I said we have to understand that kids have voices. And if we listen, you can see where the problems are. And a lot of them do feel like they're not being challenged or they're not getting anything, because most schools are worried about they're going to teach you what's on the test. And you're not getting fundamentals of life. Like when we were coming up, we would get different fundamentals that create that balance, whereas though you had life skills. They're not getting that. And that part is missing. But also I think the correlation between what's done in school, you reinforce it at home as well. So that parent teacher, that school family dynamic is also a big gap between that as well.
Well, from what I'm hearing, saw a lot of the parents say when it comes to school, when they removed a lot of stuff, they started removing stuff back when I was in school. And I'm in my 40s. So they started removing stuff back then. And the schools can only speak on the school system here. School system was trash. The schools were trash. The school system was trash. Our school system been all over the news. They were stealing money, figuring out ways to push people along. They did start, the government started pulling stuff out of the school system, and a lot of stuff played in region by like the urban areas got the butt end of the stick and still do always until recently. I can speak on here in the city. I see them like taking schools one by one and actually fixing them up. Even some of the like city, they fixing up city, but city's not one of the urban, like the urban schools. It's in an urban area, but it's one of the best high schools here. You feel me? But then you got like they also building up like Frederick Douglass. They just another one, I think last year. But those are schools that have had problems and lead and things in them since the 90s. And they're just getting to stuff like that in 2026. So the education system never really mattered to anybody but the rich, because in private schools and stuff are not taken care of like that. Their parents invest in schools. The issue is the community, alongside the government not really caring about, you know, the education. They give you the bare minimum to get us into like working. They're getting you used to getting up, following orders, getting into the working field. But then that also backfired, because now the younger generation don't want to work. They don't want to work. They don't like the way life has been. The millennials don't like the way life has been and the way the corporate world is. So that's starting to pose a problem. And the governments don't know what to do with it. The school system itself just don't know what to do with it. That generational wealth thing, I feel like that's a lot of people don't know about it, because that's something that a lot of people just don't know about. So they don't know how to teach it. And like something as simple as having a life insurance policy and using it to build something like generational wealth, passing money down to family, from, you know, people take it and do stuff like go buy a car, go on vacation. They don't invest in those types of things. And people take out really good policies for those reasons. Just an example, because that was one thing I seen another podcast, like people, they talk about like life insurance and generational wealth. And a lot of African Americans are just starting to get to the point of doing that. When I was talking about that, the nursing homes and wealthy nursing homes that were getting shut down, those people were sitting on millions and billions of dollars upon their loved one passing on, so that their family can, you know, and people don't think like that. There are some people out here who just don't think like that. You have more GoFundMe's than insurance policies,
Right.
you know. And that's the generational wealth. Everybody want to be, you know, the fast money now. And, you know, nobody thinks about the, you know, the back end. And then you got this other problem. You got so many adults who did not get themselves together that their children can't get themselves together. They haven't even created a generational wealth. And that's been a cycle from their parent to their grandparent to the great grandparents. Nobody ever set up to do anything. You got a whole generation of people, whether it's black, white, blue, or purple, generations on government assistance.
Yep.
So it's like nobody thinks of that until like it's like at the like too late, or it's like, oh well, what are they going to? Everybody going to say, oh, what can somebody do for me, or the government not doing this, or blah blah blah, yada yada yada. No, how do you change that? Who got together and said, hey, we need to change this dynamic and pull our family out of this poverty, so we don't have to depend on them. You know, and there is a generation of people that are doing it because they are sick of the way things are going. You know, they don't like, they've been doing this before Donald Trump got into the, I mean, he wasn't saying his name, before that guy got in the office.
You fine. No, I definitely
got in the office.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Because I come from that era, like where if you didn't know, because like I've been transparent with it up here for a long time. I didn't understand. I wasn't financially literate or financially like responsible or understood certain things existed, and it all goes on your right level, what you're taught. So if you don't know, you can't teach it, and then you find out later. Like even like our parents or our family, they may have been investing or did different things with their money, but if they don't teach it and pass it down, you're just stupid. You don't really know what to do with it. So like as I learned, I try to like, even though I found out later in life, I try to teach it to like my peers, my kids, other family members. But it becomes a matter of what do people want to receive as well. So I think we also live in a time where with like more people getting into like stocks and different investments, and because more people compared to I know when I was coming up, using banks wasn't really like a thing. It came like later, so more people are using like financial institutions, and they're learning and they're taking those classes, that they're learning money, and they're becoming financially literate and responsible, whereas though they can pass those things on and teach their kids. So I think we're living at a time where I guess you could say like the technology has its pros in those areas, because you're able to learn a little bit more and get
Yeah,
those things, get those
I agree
resources,
with you
get those
100%.
resources out there. So I do say that like that's a good thing. And then we also live in a time of follow the leader. So when you see people talking about, oh, I got this, I got that, and when you start seeing like, oh, everybody getting this finance, these life insurance policies, or people investing their money in that, let me get up on that, because they're seeing the result of it. So
I agree. Just like it's a whole generation of parents who wanted their children to be better than them, and they pushed their kids to be better than what they were at the time. You hear it all the time. I want you to be better than me. I didn't get to go to college, and now the kid then graduated college, and then now that parent, that now kid is now a parent, and that kid pushed the same thing on their child, but then that child feel like I don't want to do that. I want to do this, and I got good morals. Y'all raised me right. I don't want to work for this company. I want to get this job, but I want to start this, and then they doing other stuff. A lot of the kids are in the tech field. That's another thing, because what you said, the labor market. A lot of the jobs are moving towards the tech field, and it's more so towards being able to fix it, because that AI stuff and all the robots and stuff, they malfunction a lot. Like computers malfunction every day, so they need people there, and that's kind of that's the difference. And when we were all in school, because see, they taught us trades, different trades, mechanics, home ec, child care, cosmetology, things like that. Now these kids are learning coding. Like coding is a thing, and second language, third language is a thing coming out of school. Some of these kids are learning like Chinese, so it's a different day and age. They are gearing now the children to what the world, where the world going, apparently, because they can speak multiple languages. My niece speaks like 2 or 3 languages, and the younger niece is she speaks like 2 languages, or she's still like in elementary school, And I'm not saying that they weren't. I know here in Maryland, I don't think they was teaching us in elementary school. I know I didn't start learning. I learned some Spanish in Florida in elementary school, but I didn't learn any other foreign language until I was in middle school here. And then I got like a year of it, 2 semesters, and then that was it. They don't like keep you like it should be something that we should have been doing. Like we should have been talking in Spanish, in my opinion, every day, because
I should have paid attention.
Yeah.
Because we were offered those things like French and Spanish. Me, I just knew enough to stay out of the class. Perdóname, Arabango. We ain't taking
And that was
seriously.
that was the problem in our city, because they was always just, all you gotta do is get enough to pass. You feel me? And they was like, it just, the education was never taken serious in the not to the people who were not like in them elite schools, the small class, and they overpopulated the classrooms. They put the teachers in. I remember going to school and teachers say, I got my education, you need to get yours. Yeah, but you need to teach me so that I can get it.
I hate
It
that
was a
line.
whole generation of teachers who did not care about teaching. They went to work for a paycheck.
Mhm.
And then I do remember vaguely at one point in time as an adult, I remember a young lady who was a teacher, and the school system was so bad at this point, She didn't want to be a teacher anymore. She wanted to be a teacher her entire life, but it was just so bad. And the way it wasn't necessarily the students played a part, but it was the way the school system was set up. It just discouraged her so bad. She felt like nothing that she could do was going to be at an advantage to the children because the way the system was set up. And this is America, you know.
It's a failed institution, you know. Like, and I'm gonna include the Wire in on this, okay? Because the Wire is more than just the whole drug dealing thing. It's really, if you look at the depth of it, because I had to rewatch it twice. It's really about institutions,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But most people won't get that because they see the drug element, and that's what the show is focused on: the cops and the drugs, and cops and criminals. No, it's about institutions and why they are failing. But most people won't get, they won't get the depth of that.
Yeah. I agree.
And healthcare
Yeah.
access, man. We all got it.
Yeah.
We all got healthcare, but it's so
We
expensive.
can't hear you. You know. Oh, there she went
Can
on
you
mute.
hear me?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's my little earphone thingy. What I was saying was, I said, and as far as healthcare, everybody has it, but it's at such a high cost that nobody really wants to use it, even if you need to use it, right? The clinics, like going to a free clinic. I mean, if you have to, I guess that's fine. But going to an urgent care, sometimes it costs you so much to go to urgent care, and then some of them barely don't do anything. If you actually need an X-ray, you still have to go to an ER. If you go to your doctor's office and they don't have the capabilities of doing certain tests there, they're going to send you somewhere to have it done, preferably an ER if it needs to be an emergency, and that usually costs people, which is making people make the decision on should I go to the doctors or should I wait, you know, which is causing people to be sicker now than they've been in the past couple years. And I guess it does help, you know, the healthcare system, but it comes at a cost to human life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
Everything
A
revolves
moral,
around
a
quality of
moral
life.
eddy, what this country is in. A moral eddy. Anybody know what an
the birth
eddy is?
rate is down. Well, so when we talk about quality of life and you have people dying off, they don't have that many the birth rate is down, has declined like 30%.
Because who want to have a baby and as high as milk was high. Y'all know how much I didn't even want a whole gallon of milk. I didn't need a whole. I needed a half a gallon, but because everybody was probably thinking the same thing I was thinking, why am I paying that much for all that milk? Everybody will all that. There was not a half a gallon or a quarter gallon, a piece of gallon, nothing. There was nothing of a gallon besides the whole gallon. You feel me? In there, no paint, no nothing.
She said
there wasn't even no cotton. There wasn't even no cotton.
They probably had somebody hold their hands out like this.
I be thinking they be doing that to make you buy what they got before they put something else out.
Do we? Oh shoot, no. Did we got anything else on that? Because I do have a fun question that I want to ask y'all before we go. Y'all want the question?
Why don't you do what you do when you do what you do?
Okay, y'all listening?
Yes,
I don't even want to look at your face when I read this. Okay.
Uh-oh.
If you were a politician today, what would you propose? Okay, what would be a policy or a law that you would propose to, to our Congress, government, or whatever during this time in this country while we're experiencing financial hardship? What would be your law proposal? Look at Q. I'm gonna start with Q because your face is funny. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go.
what would be my repeat that quick? I'm trying to word it.
All right, let's say you was a politician and y'all going up and you know how they propose laws and they had the sessions, right?
Right.
And you have this law that you want to propose during this time with our economy and with everyone experiencing financial hardship. What would be your law?
Well, I'd have two laws. One is to any monies that was earned illegally in this current administration goes back to the public. I would cut the public a check because the public has suffered long enough under this regime.
So you would give continuous stimulus.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's what's needed is a stimulus. Because it helps you. It's you can do whatever you want to with it. But if you blow it on drugs, that's on you.
Yeah.
But it's there. I think we had a stimulus when Obama was in office. And I mean, I could be mistaken. Yeah, I remember it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It helped. Because it helped people get back on their feet. If you ever notice,
What stimulus we had?
if you ever noticed,
I don't think I got that one.
I don't
I don't
think I
think we did
qualified
that.
that.
I think I got something.
The only stimmy I ever got was when the
Coco's
app
president.
was in there. The app did give us a little stimmy. You know, he wasn't stingy with the stimmy.
Right.
On his way out.
But
He
if
gave
you
us
ever notice, anytime a Republican gets in office, the economy tanks. Anytime a Democrat gets in office, they fix things and the economy starts rising. Why is that?
That stimmy was debate.
You already know why. They not for the fucking people. They for the saying.
Right.
I did good. Right, I bought the same thing today. I'm sorry, y'all.
Everybody else.
You know
That stimmy baited everybody up to vote for him this time around. So
Yeah.
ain't nothing coming down. Everybody said, "Oh yeah, you remember he gave us the stimmy last time?" Yeah. And then first thing he said, "Well, yeah, we're gonna take care of you." Bap, nothing. I ain't heard no more about the money they probably getting you for the Doge checks. None of that stuff. You don't get nothing about that kind of money. Nothing else being given to nobody.
You want to know why you want to know why those checks weren't being passed out? That's how, because your boy Elon Musk took that money and became a trillionaire.
Yep. When they
those
gave him
got out of
to
Dodge.
all of them records because they went straight for the money. And if you notice, he got quiet after he got access to all the money, and they eliminated all them positions. And he was like, "Oh, we're going to clean up." Yeah, they cleaned house.
Yeah,
and disappeared.
Yeah.
but you know
Disappeared
what?
all
All
those
that
money.
money. I've
You
been
know what,
telling
though?
y'all since day one they stole all the money.
But you know what though? It's about to come back and bite Elon Musk because I put something in the Facebook chat.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
What just happened? That dude's about to go to. That dude could be going to jail.
They all need to. All of them.
Mm-hmm.
Hang them high. Hang them till their eyes dry.
Well, Paul, since you're talking, what would be your law?
My law would be that there would be 8-year terms for anybody that wants to be in Congress.
I like that.
You're not going to be no lifetime politician. You're going to get your butt up out here. You're not going to have no lifetime 6-figure retirement thing and all that stuff after 8 years. No. You're going to get you a pretty decent retirement thing. Maybe 100,000 or something like that a year, whatever. But none of that big 600,000 and millions and all that stuff. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. And after your 8 years, and you are away for 4 years, if you want to run again and the people feel like you can be back in there, they want you back in there, then you can get voted back in again. otherwise, none of that lifetime 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years being a politician. You've been a politician so long, your money is outliving you.
There's a problem with that, though, Paul. The reason why they haven't had term limits in Congress is because, remember, Congress has to vote on that, and Congress is not going to vote themselves. They're not going to vote themselves out of a job.
But Coco asked me what law would I pass, and I would pass that law.
Yeah.
If I could pass it.
Yeah,
That would be a law that I would have passed.
I would be like, yeah, 8 years. That's it. You can't run again. You can't, because you can't run again as president if you already served 2 terms.
Well, if you go and give facts, you gotta give the right facts. Paul, that wouldn't work because back when the Volturi first started, when they bit their first humans and decided to take over the world, as the vampire with Dracula and the rest of the crew, they decided they was never going to get out of Congress.
Right.
That's why they did. It's like, yeah, that's
Preach. 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 But yeah, I mean, I'm not mistaken. I thought it was one president way back in the day that ran for president twice. I bet he won. One of them Adams guys. I know it was John Adams and it was John Quincy Adams. And I'm thinking that John Adams might have been elected again. Somebody along that line was elected president twice.
FDR was elected 4 times. He served 3 terms and was working on his 4th before he died in office.
Oh wait, before you go any further with that, let me get mine real quick. I honestly would retirement would end at 50. I mean, you'd be eligible for retirement at 50. It would be your option after 50, but everybody would be eligible for retirement at 50. I don't feel like you have to wait till you're 65, 70, none of that. I feel like, you should be eligible and, make enough money, to retire comfortably at 50, So if I could figure that out as the president or whoever, who make that kind of rule, because that's what I would do.
Coco.
What? Oh, that was for y'all. That was for y'all.
Oh yeah, your president.
Mine would definitely be geared towards healthcare. I would like to do like what Canada and those countries are doing is make sure every citizen, especially American citizen, has healthcare. Like that would be one of my laws. And I will also put into a law where, so if you have children, especially I would say like under the age of 16, because 16 is like a working age, I would want, if you have children under the age of 16, I think your family should have SNAP benefits to make sure that you can feed your kids. Those would be my two.
Oh, you got 2. Whoa. You would come in there and change the law.
Yeah, I'm coming in like Jasmine. We got like 3 minutes. Anybody want to take those 3, or y'all want to take a minute apiece? What y'all want to do?
Go ahead, Q. Do what you do. Jude, we haven't seen your beautiful presence all night. Give us something.
I don't really know what to say. I'll let Q take this one out. Don't worry, y'all see me Wednesday for sure.
Oh, Lord.
We want to see you.
Well,
go ahead, semantics, antics.
Well,
The actual players.
I mean, all right. The topic, I just want to share this, if you're struggling, seek help, right? It's okay to, ask for help. There are resources out here that can, assist you, especially rental assistance, because I'm going through that right now. I ain't ashamed to admit it, because working as a Lyft driver, it's not cutting it. Because money's been slow. even though we got the World Cup here in Atlantic City, it's been slow because all the patrons, they are centered around hotels that are around the stadium, which means it's walkable. They don't have to be driven anywhere unless they're, way out going, unless they live here and they went downtown and then they want to get home and be driven way out, to where they live. But there's nothing wrong with asking for help. Whether it be your family, friends, any agencies, anything like that, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to be homeless, especially in summertime, because homelessness means you can't bathe. You can wear as much deodorant as possible, but that funk will still come through. Like Rick James sweat socks.
Dude, that
Okay. And boy, bad breath in the summertime. Oh my God. It's already hot. It's already hot.
Why y'all let him do this?
Well, I'm tired of dudes being in my car smelling like 8 pounds of marijuana and blunts.
Okay, get done. Thank you, everybody. For too.
You gotta play "Don't Be Funky, Wash Your Monkey."
Yes. Thank you to everybody who was watching tonight. Special shout out to Mark Wilson. Gave some great comments and interaction. And shout out to J. Bear Jackson, always a loyal supporter. Don't miss no weeks. We definitely appreciate you. To everyone else who was watching and listening, if you watched us on YouTube, Kick, or Facebook, we appreciate you. And we will see you guys Wednesday promptly at 8 p.m. We love you guys. Good night.
Peace.